Hello, this is David Frothingham, and for the next hour I'll be reading from the Wednesday, June 17th, 2026 issue of the Democrat and Chronicle on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. The top headline in today's issue of the Democrat and Chronicle reads, New Obama Presidential Center will break the mold. Facility projects younger vibe, and it's not really a library, by Susan Page from USA Today. Barack Obama's presidency was like none that came before. That's also true of the Obama Presidential Center, being dedicated June 18th on the south side of Chicago. The edifices that presidents build after they leave office reveal their preferred view of history and of themselves, what achievements they want remembered and what missteps they hope will be forgotten. Just look at the initial whitewash of the Watergate scandal at Richard Nixon's library and the minimal account at Bill Clinton's library of his impeachment. Nearly a decade has passed since the 44th president moved out of the White House, making way for Donald Trump. His successor has tried to dismantle his legacy. Visitors can begin streaming through the Obama Presidential Center on June 19th, which is Juneteenth. One conclusion the building's dedication is confirmed: there are hard feelings. Obama didn't invite Trump to attend. The first time the sitting president won't be at center stage for the opening of a modern presidential library and museum. Even for Nixon, the only president forced to resign in disgrace, President George H.W. Bush showed up at his library's dedication in 1990 in Yorba Linda, California. 7 years later, when Bush's library was dedicated in College Station, Texas, Clinton was there to praise the president he had ousted from office. Obama's standing as the first black president is all but guaranteed to be in the opening lines of any broad account of his tenure. But when he campaigned for the job and then served 2 terms, he generally didn't spotlight that breakthrough in favor of broader themes. Now, the Obama Center embraces the role and repercussions of his race, placing his presidency in a narrative of the nation's long journey for equality. 2 sides of the building are clad in giant words, the letters 5 feet tall, drawn from his 2015 speech marking the 50th anniversary of the civil rights marches from Selma, Alabama to Montgomery. Quote, America is not the project of any one person, they read in part. The single most powerful word in our democracy is the word we the people. We shall overcome, yes, we can. That word is owned by no one. It belongs to everyone. The center's plaza is named for civil rights icon John Lewis, and its overlook for Harold Washington, the first black mayor of Chicago. Other spaces honor former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, former First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt, Nobel laureate Elie Wiesel, and others. On whose shoulders we stand, the center says. Then there's the date the former president chose for the opening. Visitors can begin streaming through the building on Juneteenth, the June 19 holiday held on the day in 1865 when Union General Gordon Granger ordered the Emancipation Proclamation enforced in Texas, celebrates the end of slavery in the United States. The library archives offloaded. Obama has redefined what a presidential library has to include, offloading a fundamental part of all his modern predecessors have had. That is, the library part. The Obama archives are planned to be the first presidential records that are fully digitized, available online from anywhere, a process that is now underway. The physical records of his presidential administration, which by law belong to the American people, are held by the National Archives and Records Administration at sites in suburban Chicago and suburban Washington. The center does include some exhibits that are classic features at other presidential libraries. There's a replica of the Oval Office, seen also at the Harry S. Truman Library, the Lyndon B. Johnson Library, and the Clinton Library, as well as a display of dresses worn by the First Lady at inaugural balls and other big occasions. But Obama's center projects a younger, hipper, less stuffy vibe than its general ilk. There's an NBA regulation basketball court, for one thing, reflecting Barack Obama's passion for the sport, and a vegetable garden, one of Michelle Obama's causes. Who said anything about Syria? The displays detail passage of the landmark Affordable Care Act and Obama's leadership during the mortgage meltdown he inherited when he took office in 2009, action credited by some economists with averting another Great Depression. But the references are limited on the administration's controversial response to the Russian invasion of Crimea in 2014, when Obama offered condemnation and imposed military sanctions, but didn't provide Ukraine with significant military aid, and on his decision not to deliver on his threat to Syria, which used chemical weapons on civilians after he had warned that that would cross his red line. He called it a crime against humanity, but then backed off ordering military strikes. Even some supporters called that a mistake that damaged his credibility. He blames congressional opposition. Addressing the low points as well as the high ones has posed challenges for every president. The Johnson Library in Austin is among the most candid, portraying the Vietnam War as a national trauma and the president as conflicted and constrained. LBJ had said he wanted his story told with the bark off. After the National Archives took over the Nixon Library in 2007, the original Watergate exhibit casting Nixon as a victim was replaced by a historical account of the scandal that put the president in the middle of it. There's one more way the Obama Center is not like the others. It will never be part of the federal system. The National Archives will run his archives and loan artifacts to the Chicago site, but the Obama Center will remain a nonprofit entity with its exhibits under its control. A community organizer first and last. In another change from the traditional, the center was designed to become a hub for the neighborhood. While there's no presidential library on the present premises, there is a branch of the Chicago Public Library. The 19 acres in Jackson Park feature a big playground and a track field with outdoor grills for use by picnickers. A hill has been made to order for sledding during Chicago's snowy winters, included at the behest of Michelle Obama, who grew up less than 3 miles away. That's not to say everyone in the community was enthusiastic about it. The project was delayed by years of debate and lawsuits, including over concerns about the takeover of lakefront land and the gentrification that could displace current residents. It was originally planned to open in 2021 at a cost of $500 million, timing that would have meant Obama's vice president, Joe Biden, would have been the sitting president and surely in attendance. Instead, it ended up 5 years behind schedule and $350 million over budget, with Trump back at office for a second term. Obama had considered other locations. The finalists included pitches from the University of Hawaii in the state where he was born and spent much of his childhood, and Columbia University, where he graduated from college. He settled on the proposal by the University of Chicago on the city's south side. In the end, Obama went back to his beginnings, where he had started in his 20s as a community organizer, returning at age 64 to open a presidential center with some of the mission in mind. The next headline on the front page reads, "Library reopens for next chapter," and there's a picture of public officials celebrating the reopening of the Maplewood Library with a ribbon-cutting ceremony June 15th. The library, which first opened in 1959, saw its first major renovation this year. 67-year-old Maplewood branch fully renovated by Kayla Cann. Rochester Democrat and Republican, USA Today Network. Bonnie Evers was just about 9 years old the first time Maplewood Library opened its doors to reveal hundreds of books meant to be borrowed, their colorful spines carefully arranged in stacks that filled a new building off Dewey Avenue. It was 1959. Evers lived 2 blocks away on Burr Street. She wandered into the library on opening day, unsure what to expect, and was met by a world of wonder. "I'd never been to a library," Evers said. She has hardly left in the 67 years since. Evers started as a library page in high school, stayed on for 2 summers through college, and returned part-time years ago when she was still a young school teacher in the neighborhood. She is the one who ensures the book you're looking for is in its assigned spot every time without fail. So it was only fitting that Evers was there June 15th as Maplewood Library celebrated its second opening day. This time, after a 2-year, $8.5 million renovation and expansion that includes new classrooms, meeting spaces, and a secure outdoor play area for children. Evers was scheduled to work the morning shift as city, state, and federal officials filed in for a ribbon cutting. The mayor, aware of her connection to this space, made sure she left with a piece of ceremonious blue ribbon. Quote, "This particular library means a lot to a lot of the community," Evers said. They come here for our programs, they come here for relief from the heat and the cold, and they come here for information. And if we can't service them, we can send them somewhere a lot of time. It depends on what their needs are. Maplewood Library reopens on Dewey Avenue. The library project represents a significant investment in Northwest Rochester. The Dewey Avenue corridor, like other parts of the city, has experienced bouts of drug activity and street fights, though residents and business owners say they've noticed a positive shift in recent years. Assemblywoman Sarah Clark, who lives in the neighborhood, said June 15th the library project builds on other recent efforts to uplift the area, including the expansion of an urban community farm off Lexington Avenue, a teen empowerment branch at the corner of McGee, and a new nature center and playground set to open this summer. Quote, "You feel the energy and you feel the tide turning," she said. "The Northwest is really something to celebrate these days." The Maplewood Library is one of the busiest branch libraries in Rochester, with more than 7,200 visitors each month, and it offers more than just books. The library runs English and Citizen courses, lends out sewing machines, fishing kits, and portable Wi-Fi routers, and exists as a free third space for community members. By the time the library officially opened June 15th at 11 a.m., several phones were already ringing behind the circulation desk. Clearly, it was time to leave, the mayor said. There was work to be done. The next headline reads, "New York retirees may see $511 cut if Social Security runs dry," by Victoria E. Fraley. Social Security beneficiaries, including millions of New Yorkers, could see their monthly benefits reduced by an average of about $500 if the retirement program's trust fund is depleted as projected, according to a new analysis. For the past 16 years, Social Security's retirement program has paid out more in benefits than it has collected through payroll taxes, forcing the agency to draw from its trust fund reserves to cover the gap. As a result, the Social Security trustees project the retirement trust fund will be exhausted in 2032. If that occurs, and Congress does not act, benefits would automatically be reduced to match incoming revenue. The Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget estimates beneficiaries would face a 24% across-the-board reduction. Nationwide, that would amount to an average cut of about $500 per month per retiree, more than many households spend on groceries each month. Total annual retirement benefits would fall by an estimated $345 billion, or about 1.1% of U.S. gross domestic product, according to the report. No state would be spared from the potentially devastating effects of insolvency, the committee said. How many people would be affected? Nearly 70 million Americans, about 1 in 5 people nationwide, receive Social Security benefits, including retirees, surviving spouses, and dependents. According to the report, between 10% and 23% of residents in every state would be affected by a reduction in benefits. What it would mean for New York. In New York, nearly 3.35 million residents, about 17% of the state's population, receive Social Security benefits and could be affected by a potential reduction, according to the report. The committee estimates the average New York retiree would lose about $511 per month. Statewide, the reduction would equal roughly 0.8% of the New York economy. The report found that the economic impact would range from 0.2% to 1.9% of state GDP nationwide, with cuts exceeding 1% of GDP in 40 states. States with older populations and lower per capita incomes would generally face the largest economic effects. States projected to see the largest benefit cuts. Average monthly reductions would range from $459 to $556 across the 50 states and Washington, D.C. Beneficiaries in 29 states would see average cuts exceeding $500 per month, according to the committee. The 10 states projected to see the largest average monthly reductions are number 1, Connecticut, $556, number 2, New Jersey at $554, number 3, New Hampshire at $553, number 4, Delaware at $549, number 5 is Maryland at $541, number 6 is Washington at $531, number 7 is Minnesota at $530, number 8 is Massachusetts at $527, and number 9 is Michigan at $523, number 10 is Utah at $523. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Democrat and Chronicle on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. The next headline in today's front section is Chuck E. Cheese Adventure World proposed for Baytown Plaza. Baytown Plaza in Penfield may be getting a Chuck E. Cheese Adventure World Entertainment Center. An application made by CEC Entertainment, LLC, to the town's Zoning Board of Appeals proposes turning an existing 13,398 square foot storefront into an indoor, family-oriented entertainment and recreation venue. Whereas traditional Chuck E. Cheese locations focus on arcade games, pizza, and prizes, Chuck E. Cheese Adventure World is a large-scale indoor playground concept from the classic family entertainment brand, focused entirely on active play rather than arcade games. The company's website states, designed for children ages 3 to 8, these centers feature massive multi-level climbing structures, obstacle courses, interactive dance floors, and trampolines. A snack shop serves Chuck E. Cheese pizza, light treats, and a variety of drinks. The first Adventure World location opened in November 2025 in Arlington, Texas. Families there pay about $20 per child for an all-day pass, which includes 2 free parent admissions. Birthday parties for 6 kids are around $100. The Adventure World location being proposed for Baytown Plaza, 1900 Empire Boulevard, would be the subject of a Penfield Zoning Board meeting at 6 p.m. June 18th at Penfield Town Hall, 3100 Atlantic Ave. The use is conditionally permitted in a general business district. Chuck E. Cheese has a traditional location at 3130 West Ridge Road in Greece. The next headline reads, Schumer pushes bill to lower grocery prices. U.S. Senator Charles Schumer visited a Tops Friendly Market store in Walworth on June 15th to promote legislation he says would increase competition in the meat industry, support farmers, and help lower grocery prices for consumers. Schumer, a Democrat from New York, highlighted the Family Grocery and Farmer Relief Act, which he introduced in March. The proposal targets consolidation in the meatpacking industry, where Schumer said a handful of companies control much of the nation's beef, pork, and chicken processing. Schumer, industry consolidation drives higher prices. According to Schumer, 4 companies, Tyson Foods, JBS, Cargill, and National Beef, control about 85% of the U.S. beef market, 67% of the pork market, and 60% of the chicken market. Corporate giants dominate the meat market and set prices sky high for families, all while squeezing profits from farmers by eliminating competition, and it needs to end, Schumer said. This bill is centered around making groceries more affordable, making farmers more profitable, and putting the needs of working middle-class people ahead of the interests of powerful corporations, end quote. Schumer cited data from the Urban Institute showing grocery costs have increased significantly in central and western New York in recent years. According to the analysis, average monthly grocery costs in New York's 24th Congressional District rose from $710 in 2019 to $1,080. In New York's 25th Congressional District, which includes Monroe County and part of Ontario County, average monthly grocery costs increased from $770 to $1,160 during the same period. What the bill would do. If enacted, the legislation would require the largest meatpacking companies to focus on a single line of business rather than operating beef, pork, and chicken divisions simultaneously. The bill would also provide financial and technical assistance to farmers, cooperatives, and small businesses seeking to acquire, operate or expand meatpacking facilities, with the goal of creating more local supply chains and increasing competition. Meat Industry Group opposes. The Meat Institute, a trade association representing much of the U.S. meat industry, opposes the legislation. When the bill was introduced in March, Meat Institute President and CEO Juliana Potts criticized the proposal, arguing it would increase costs and disrupt the industry. This proposal is absurd, Potts said. If the center is trying to make meat and poultry more affordable for consumers, this is the wrong approach. It will have the opposite effect. Potts compared the proposal to requiring an automaker to manufacture only one type of vehicle, calling such a mandate unthinkable in a free market. The next headline reads, Celebration Tips, History to Know for Father's Day by Victoria E. Fraley. The day to celebrate dads, grandfathers, and anyone who serves in a paternal role is fast approaching. No matter how you choose to celebrate the day, here's what you need to know about Father's Day. When is Father's Day 2026? It is always the third Sunday of June. This year, Father's Day lands on Sunday, June 21st. When was the first Father's Day? The first Father's Day was celebrated in 1910, but it took more than 6 decades for the day to become official. The holiday piggybacked off Mother's Day, which became a commercial holiday in 1908. By 1914, Mother's Day was made official by President Woodrow Wilson, who said the second Sunday of May would be dedicated to honoring that tender, gentle army, the mothers of America. The country was slower to honor Father's Day on a particular day. However, in 1916, Wilson recognized Father's Day, and in 1924, President Calvin Coolidge urged states to observe the holiday. In 1966, President Lyndon B. Johnson made the first presidential proclamation that honored fathers, designating the third Sunday in June as Father's Day. What's the background of Father's Day? Several events inspired Father's Day in the early 1900s, among them the creation of Mother's Day around the same time. According to the Farmer's Almanac, some cite the first Father's Day observance to the 1907 Monongah, West Virginia mining disaster that killed 361 men, 250 of them who were fathers, which left more than 1,000 children without a dad. A church service honored the men. Sonora Smart Dodd, who was born in 1882, is recognized as the founder of Father's Day. Dodd, who died in 1978, was raised by a twice-married, twice-widowed Civil War veteran with 14 children. As a result, she wanted to honor loving service of fathers and advocated that fathers should also be honored for their dedication to their families. What can you do on Father's Day? Host a barbecue, play a game of ball, or watch some professional players at the ballpark. Go fishing, take a hike, spend the day on the golf course. People celebrate the holiday by showing dads they appreciate them through gifts, taking them out to eat, or simply spending time with them. What if you no longer have a dad? Father's Day is not just about your own dad. It is also a time to celebrate men who serve as father figures. Celebrate your grandfather, favorite uncle, or another male role model, such as a teacher, coach, or pastor. If your own dad has died, the day is also a time to honor his memory. Share a story that reminds you of his spirit or draw a picture in his honor. The next headline reads, Seneca Chief's Erie Canal Trip to Make Stop in Rochester by Laura Nichols. And there's a picture of a replica boat Seneca Chief which was made as a learning project for the Buffalo community at the Buffalo Maritime Museum at the western terminus of the original Erie Canal. The boat left on September 24, 2025 on its journey along the current iteration of the canal, the Erie Barge Canal, and the trip will end in New York City. The Seneca Chief, a replica of an historic Erie Canal boat, is returning to the Rochester area as part of its Back to Buffalo tour. The boat had stopped in the area in September during a voyage to commemorate the canal's bicentennial and Governor DeWitt Clinton's historic 1825 journey from Buffalo to New York Harbor. It's now on its way back to its home at the Buffalo Maritime Center, where volunteers built it. The Seneca Chief's schedule is June 18th and 19th, Lyons Fire Department, 23 Water Street in Wayne County. It will arrive at 5:30 p.m., June 18th, and dedicate a white pine tree at 6 p.m. as a symbolic tribute to the Haudenosaunee and a commitment to a sustainable future, its website says. Numerous trees were planted for that reason during its initial voyage. Family hours will be from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., June 19th, followed by a 3:30 p.m. welcome ceremony and visitor tours from 4 to 7 p.m. June 20th, 21st. Box Factory, 6 North Main Street in Fairport, on June 21st. The boat will arrive at 5:15 p.m., June 20th. On June 21st, family hours will be from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., a welcome ceremony at 1:30 p.m., visitor tours from 2 to 6 p.m., and a panel discussion at the pavilion at 4 p.m. It will depart at 9:40 a.m., June 22nd. June 22nd, 23rd. Rochester by Water, 280 Exchange Boulevard in Rochester. The historical boat will arrive in Rochester at 3:45 p.m., June 22nd, and welcome ceremony will begin at 4:15 p.m. The boat will be open for tours from 4:30 to 7 p.m., June 22nd, and from 4 to 7 p.m., June 23rd. It will leave at 9:15 a.m., June 24th. June 24th, Canal Park, 39 East Ave in Hawley, Orleans County. The boat will arrive at 3 p.m., followed by a welcome ceremony at 3 p.m. and visitor tours from 4 to 7 p.m. It will leave at noon, June 25th. Medina Canal Park, 1 Canal Basin in Orleans County. The boat will arrive at 3:30 p.m., followed by a 4 p.m. welcome ceremony and visitor tours from 4:30 to 7 p.m. It will leave at 8:30 a.m., June 26th, and travel to Tonowanda's Gateway Harbor Park. Next headline in today's front section reads, Flight from Rochester diverted after cockpit odor reported, by Victoria E. Fraley. An American Airlines flight traveling from Rochester to Philadelphia was diverted to Syracuse on Sunday night after a reported odor was detected in the cockpit. American Airlines Flight 5907 departed Frederick Douglass Greater Rochester International Airport just before 7:30 p.m., June 14th, and was en route to Philadelphia when the issue was reported, according to officials and flight tracking data. American Airlines spokeswoman Bree Harper said that the diversion was due to a possible mechanical issue. The aircraft, operated by Piedmont Airlines, landed safely at Syracuse Hancock International Airport shortly after 8 p.m. Passengers evaluated. Passengers and crew members deplaned normally and were evaluated as a precaution after the plane landed, according to the Syracuse Regional Airport Authority. No injuries were reported, and no one required additional medical treatment. Harper said that the aircraft was taken out of service Sunday evening to be evaluated by the airline's maintenance team. Flight diverted to Syracuse. Flight tracking data shows the aircraft diverted to Syracuse rather than continuing to its destination in Philadelphia. Passengers were provided hotel accommodations overnight in Syracuse, and the flight left Syracuse Monday morning and arrived in Philadelphia, Harper said. Officials have not released additional details about the reported odor or what may have caused it. The next headline reads, What is the best national hot dog brand in America? Vote now, by Tracy Schumacher. We're asking all readers over our USA Today network from Florida to California, Oregon to Vermont, what their favorite national hot dog brand is. And let me start by pointing out that the poll does not include Rochester's beloved brands, Zweigle's and Wegmans. While these are excellent products, you'll only find them in 10 states, reaching as far as North Carolina. Wherever Wegmans goes, Zweigle's goes. It also doesn't include nearby hot dog makers Salen's and Hoffman. In this particular poll, we're going for the big kahunas, Ballpark, Oscar Mayer, Hebrew National. And just in case we missed one, there's an opportunity to write in your favorite. We'll reveal your favorites on around July 4th weekend, just in time for your barbecue. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Democrat and Chronicle on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. The next headline in today's front section reads, Reflecting Pool may be green for months. Algae thrives in D.C.'s summer heat, humidity, by Michelle Del Rey. The Lincoln Memorial Reflecting Pool has become overrun with algae just days after the landmark underwent a multi-million-dollar renovation, leaving visitors wondering if it will be cleared in time for 4th of July celebrations, marking America's 250th anniversary. Photos taken over the weekend show National Park Service employees working to clear algae from the pool, which had turned the water green. The pool's basin had been painted American flag blue, a dark navy ahead of Independence Day. The pool in Washington measures about 2,000 feet in length and 160 feet in width. The renovation began in April and was completed in June, according to the New York Times. The pool repairs cost $13.1 million. In a statement to USA Today on June 15th, the Department of the Interior said, versus previous administrations, the National Park Service is actually maintaining the beautifully completed reflecting pool. The nano-rubber technology has successfully destroyed the algae bloom that had plagued every pool's reopening since 1922, the statement added. Now, due to deploying the advanced nano-rubber technology, the algae is dead and being vacuumed up as we speak. We thank President Donald Trump for fixing the reflecting pool for good. While the department remains optimistic, an environmental expert told USA Today the green could linger for several months. July temperatures bad news for reflecting pool. There are doubts about whether the reflecting pool will return to its glistening blue color ahead of the holiday. Hans Perl, a research professor of marine and environmental sciences at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, told USA Today on June 15th the pool may be impacted by algae and appear green by the 250th anniversary. The 4th of July is probably the worst time of year because that's when the temperature is highest, he said. It's Mother Nature that's really running the show. Algae thrives in hot weather, but dissipates in the winter months, he said. Washington is notoriously hot and humid in the summer months. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration told USA Today the summer forecast this year is expected to be above normal. In July, the region will experience several days in the upper 80s and 90s. Also, the region is surrounded by numerous sources of humidity and moisture, including Chesapeake Bay watershed and Potomac River. To eliminate algae, the pool would need to be drained, Pearl said. The water would then require treatment before the pool could be refilled. However, even after treatment, the water still may contain nutrients such as nitrogen and phosphorus that promote algae growth. While these nutrients can be reduced, they cannot be removed to levels low enough to completely prevent algae from returning. Though it's possible to treat the water with chemicals like chlorine, Pearl said, the chemicals could impact animals drinking water from the pool, such as ducks. Additionally, such treatments are costly. The treatment might be worse than the problem, he said, noting that he would recommend officials wait it out until the cooler months after September. You learn to appreciate the color a little bit more, he added. USA Today reached out to the National Park Service for comment. The National Park Service had previously said it would collect algae and remove it from the pool. Why was Lincoln Memorial Reflecting Pool renovated? According to the previous USA Today reporting, Trump announced a plan to revamp the Lincoln Memorial Reflecting Pool in April. He said the pool, built between 1920 and 1923, had been the subject of complaints because of its leaking foundation and filthiness. The work is part of a citywide initiative to spruce up landmarks ahead of the 4th of July. Trump told reporters that contractors would sandblast, caulk, and resurface the pool basin. Before the concrete bottom, the pool's basin was made of black asphalt. At points, the water had been dyed black to improve the reflection. Before renovations, the pool had leaked 16 million gallons of water a year, the National Park Service said. Trump said he selected Atlantic Industrial Coatings to perform the renovations because the company had done work at his Sterling, Virginia golf club. He's continued to boast about the updated landmark. In a Truth Social post on June 15th, Trump announced a 4th of July rally to take place on the National Mall with the backdrop of the Lincoln Memorial and surrounding the beautifully new reflecting pool. What did National Park Service previously do about the water? The National Park Service typically takes several measures to prevent algae growth and maintain water quality in the reflecting pool. A 2009 report stated the agency performs water treatment, debris removal, and pool cleaning. The reflecting pool is filled with potable municipal water. DC Water and Sewer Authority treats the water with chloramine, a longer-lasting disinfecting compound than chlorine that prevents contamination. The water does not have long-lasting disinfection properties once placed in the reflecting pool. Moreover, National Park Service also treats the reflecting pool with a proprietary algicide. Still, algae growth has continued to be a consistent problem throughout the years. According to the report, the agency previously considered various methods to combat algae growth. One of the methods involved using small devices the size of a soda can to emit a sound frequency that would disrupt blooms. The next headline in today's front section reads, "As more Americans reach 65, Social Security full retirement age still awaits," by Victoria E. Fraley. A record number of Americans are turning 65 each year through 2027. However, that's not quite old enough to receive full Social Security benefits. In 1983, Congress passed a law gradually raising the full retirement age from 65 to 67 to account for longer life expectancies and help sustain Social Security funds. When can you start collecting Social Security? Everyone can start receiving reduced Social Security benefits as early as age 62. However, waiting until full retirement age results in a larger monthly payment. Since the full retirement age has been increasing gradually, knowing your specific eligibility age is crucial to maximizing your benefits for yourself and your survivors. Waiting until full retirement age ensures you receive 100% of your benefits. The FRA adjustment is one of 5 changes to Social Security that took effect in 2025, including a cost of living adjustment, increased Social Security work credit requirements, a higher ceiling on payroll taxes, and higher earnings test limits. How to calculate full retirement age. Your FRA, also known as normal retirement age, depends on your birth year. If you were born between 1943 and 1954, that age is 66 years. If you were born in 1955, the age is 66 years and 2 months. 1956, 66 years and 4 months. 1957, 66 years and 6 months. 1958, 66 years and 8 months. 1959, 66 years and 10 months. 1960 or later, the retirement age is 67 years. You can also use the Social Security Administration's tool to calculate your full retirement age by entering your birth date. Note, if you were born on January 1st of any year, your full retirement age aligns with the previous year. Can you collect Social Security before full retirement age? Yes. You can claim Social Security benefits as early as age 62, but your benefit will be permanently reduced. The reduction is calculated based on how many months before FRA you begin collecting benefits. Some financial experts, including Dave Ramsey, suggest considering early Social Security collection and investing the money. While the monthly check would be smaller, investing it in the stock market, historically averaging a 10% annual return, could potentially offset the reduction. For those retiring early due to health issues, Social Security Administration recommends applying for Social Security disability benefits. These benefits equal a full, unreduced retirement benefit and automatically convert to regular Social Security at full retirement age. What happens if you wait to collect Social Security? Delaying Social Security beyond your full retirement age can significantly boost your monthly check. For each full year you delay, up to age 70, your benefit increases by 8%. Additionally, continuing to work past your full retirement age can further increase benefits, as each extra year of earnings is factored into your Social Security record. Higher lifetime earnings generally result in higher monthly benefits. When do most people start collecting Social Security? Although benefits increase with age until 70, most Americans claim Social Security early. A 2024 Employee Benefit Research Institute survey found the median retirement age is 62, despite many intending to wait until at least 65. The median age at which people actually start collecting Social Security is 64, though most plan to wait until 65. 35% of retirees leave the workforce earlier than expected due to health issues or disabilities. An additional 31% retire due to workplace changes, while 35% retire because they can afford to. What is the average Social Security benefit? Social Security benefits adjust monthly. As of January 2026, the average benefit was $2,071, according to Social Security Administration. For comparison, in 1975, the average benefit was just $207. The next headline in today's front section reads, "Man killed in motorcycle crash on I-81 identified," by Victoria E. Fraley. A Watertown man was killed in a crash on Interstate 81 near Cortland over the weekend, according to the New York State Police. Motorcycle veered off I-81. Troopers said that a motorcycle was southbound on I-81 when the operator drove off the road and struck a guard rail near exit 52, Cortland, around 10:25 a.m. on Saturday, June 13th. The motorcyclist, Christopher D. Messerly, 26, of Watertown, Jefferson County, was pronounced dead at the scene, troopers said. Highway closure. The southbound lanes of I-81 were closed for several hours following the crash. Traffic was diverted off the highway but created a traffic jam that slowed traffic for nearly 2 miles, according to state police. Troopers are investigating the fatal crash. The next headline reads, "Dog attacks neighbor as owner gets in fight. Several injured before police gain control," by Victoria E. Fraley. A Rochester man was charged after an early morning disturbance on the city's southwest side escalated into a physical fight, multiple dog bite injuries, and 2 police officers firing their weapons at an aggressive dog, according to Rochester police. What happened? Officers responded around 1 a.m. Monday, June 15th, to Kirkland Road near Warwick Avenue after receiving reports of 2 men fighting over a shotgun and a dog running loose and biting people, Rochester Police Captain Greg Bellow said. Investigators said a resident woke up and discovered someone allegedly damaging a vehicle parked in his driveway. The resident then went outside carrying an unloaded shotgun and confronted the suspect, who allegedly displayed a knife. The confrontation turned physical, police said. As the fight continued, the resident's dog got outside and began attacking people involved in the incident, including the neighbors who had come outside after witnessing the altercation. Did police shoot the dog? Police said 2 officers fired their weapons at the dog after it charged at them, but the animal was not struck. According to Bellow, the dog first charged at an officer who fired 2 rounds from his department-issued handgun at a downward angle. The dog was not hit and ran away. A short time later, the dog charged at a second officer. That officer fired 1 round, also at a downward angle, but again the dog was not injured and returned to the residence. Officers ultimately used pepper spray to break up the fight and gain control of the scene, police said. Were there injuries? Several people suffered injuries during the incident. Police said the man accused of damaging the vehicle sustained a laceration on his hand that investigators believe may have been caused by a dog bite. A third neighbor was taken to Strong Memorial Hospital with a minor injury that remained under evaluation. The resident involved in the fight was treated and released after exposure to pepper spray. Who was charged? The police charged David Singletary, 34, with third-degree criminal mischief, a felony, second-degree menacing, a misdemeanor. Bellow said Singletary and the resident involved in the confrontation are relatives. What's next? The Rochester Police Department's Major Crimes Unit and Professional Standards Section are investigating the incident, including the officer's use of force. Police have not announced any additional charges. The next headline reads, "Patel says FBI thwarted plan to attack UFC event," by Janine Santucci. The FBI thwarted an alleged plot to target the Ultimate Fighting Championship event at the White House over the weekend, according to Director Kash Patel. On June 10th, FBI and our law enforcement partners became aware of a potential threat to the UFC America 250 event in Washington, D.C., involving individuals outside of the National Capital Region. And thanks to the rapid action of the FBI, our partners, and the Department of Justice in a multi-state operation, Multiple individuals are now in custody, and allegedly planned attacks were stopped cold, Patel said in a post on social media on June 16th, linking to a Fox News report. Patel did not share additional details in the social media post, and the FBI directed USA Today to the same post in response to a request for more information. The Secret Service said on X that it worked with the FBI on the investigation. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Democrat and Chronicle on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Quote, in the days leading up to this weekend, our special agents, mission support personnel, and technical security teams worked around the clock to identify those responsible and hold them accountable, the Secret Service said. Fox News, citing unnamed officials, reported that there were 5 people in custody and 23 had been identified as part of a network of plotters. The alleged plan, including setting off explosives to cause people to evacuate, drawing them near a team of snipers before a second wave would attack the White House gate, the officials reportedly told the news outlet. President Donald Trump, at the Group of 7 summit in Evian, France, said he had not heard about the planned attack. The UFC America 250 event, the evening of June 14th on the White House South Lawn, was timed to coincide with Trump's 80th birthday and came amid the celebration for the United States' 250th anniversary. Trump and family members were in attendance and entered the fighting ring to congratulate the champion as fireworks burst overhead at the end. Other administration officials were also present, including Vice President J.D. Vance, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, and Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. The next headline reads, U.S.-Iran peace deal could offer price release, by Andrea Riquier. One thing is certain after the United States and Iran agreed to a framework deal to end the months-long war and reopen the Strait of Hormuz, the cost of living crisis just got a bit less bad. But how much less and how long it lasts are still open questions, particularly given the deal's unknowns. How many times have we talked about a ceasefire? We have been here before, and we've seen the same reactions time and time again, said John Musso, Chief Investment Officer for Cumberland Advisors, a subsidiary of Mid-Penn Bancorp. If the war actually ends, then the follow-through should be lower oil prices, declining bond yields, and declining inflation, but that's going to take time. On June 15th, the nationwide average gas price briefly dropped below $4 a gallon, albeit to $3.99, for the first time since mid-April, according to metrics compiled by GasBuddy. Brent crude oil, the global standard, was trading at about $82.61 a barrel, its lowest since early March. For now, the national average could continue falling, provided there isn't a drastic reversal, said Patrick DeHaan, head of petroleum analysis at GasBuddy. Still, until the strait is reopened and oil flows begin to move as normal, he cautioned, there's little reason to believe that this price relief will last. In a research note published early June 15th, analysts at Oxford Economics agreed, writing that the agreement between the U.S. and Iran is a significant step toward reaching a full-blown deal, but there will likely be bumps in the road, and it will take time for shipping in the Strait of Hormuz to approach pre-war levels. In March, Oxford noted, every 10 cents on gasoline prices adds around $12.3 billion in spending on gasoline, or around 0.06% of consumer spending that isn't available to be spent on other goods and services. Beyond the price of specific things households need, an end to the hostilities will likely also mean that broad measures of inflation will come down. The Consumer Price Index, tallied by the Labor Department, has surged since the start of the war. Before the conflict began, the annual inflation rate held steady at 2.4% in February. It jumped to 3.3% in March and rose again to 3.8% in April, driven by supply chain disruptions and soaring fuel prices that increased the cost of producing other goods. It will take global supply chains a couple of quarters to get back to normal, said Ben Shoesmith, a senior economist with KPMG Economics, in a note published June 15th, that will keep price pressures higher for some time. Measures of inflation matter because the Federal Reserve keeps an eye on overall price changes when deciding on interest policy rate. The détente may help make the case for policymakers to hold rates steady, many economists think. The Fed will announce its next rate decision on June 17th, but the Fed isn't the only market force that decides the path of interest rates. Investors in U.S. Treasury bonds also hold a lot of cards, though so far bond investors haven't reacted to the peace deal announcement as much as those in the oil market. The 10-year surged as high as 4.671% in early May and has moved downward choppily since then. It is roughly flat since the deal was announced, however. Next headline reads, Trump, nuclear ban part of Iran deal. President denies reports of reconstruction funds. President Donald Trump said June 16th that a secret peace agreement with Iran, the text of which has not been released, dictates that Iran will never be allowed to have a nuclear weapon. A preliminary agreement that was announced last weekend promises to bring an end to the fighting that has killed thousands in Iran and 13 American service members, rocked the global economy, and strained the United States' relationships with some of its closest allies. The truce is also expected to return the Strait of Hormuz to its pre-war toll-free operating status and end a U.S. naval blockade on Iranian ports. Trump, who's currently attending a Group of Seven summit in France, said that all hell will rain down on Iran if it does pursue a nuclear weapon. The only thing that really matters to me is Iran will never have a nuclear weapon, and it says it loud and clear, he said. They are not going to develop it, they are not going to buy it, they are not going to do anything with it. If they do, they will suffer unbelievable consequences, Trump added. Formal details about the agreement have yet to be revealed, but the Trump administration previously said the understanding would commit Iran to further talks about dismantling its nuclear program over the next 60 days. Trump denied reports that Iran would receive $300 billion to rebuild as part of negotiations. Multiple news organizations reported June 15th that President J.D. Vance said Iran could gain access to $300 billion in reconstruction funding if the country complies with peace talks. But Trump called the reports fake news on social media and blamed it on his political rivals, whom he called Democrats. We are not investing any money in Iran, by the way, Trump told reporters at the G7 summit. That rumor just got out there yesterday. It was ridiculous. Vance and Iran's top negotiator, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, are expected to attend the formal signing in Geneva on June 19th. The Foreign Affairs Department of Switzerland said it could take place at the Bergenstock Mountaintop Resort, a location proposed by the Pakistani and Qatari mediators as well as by the United States and Iran. China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi on June 16 welcomed the initial agreement and called for sustained efforts to obtain a long-term peace agreement. There must be no turning back, still less a return to the use of force, Wang said during a call with his Pakistani counterpart, Ishaq Dar. Oil prices hit 3-month low. Upon signing the Memorandum of Understanding, Iran will loosen its grip on the Strait of Hormuz, and the United States will lift its months-long blockade of the vital trade route. Iranian state media on June 16th reported that operations to lift the blockade were beginning, but said vessels should still coordinate with the country's military. Oil prices fell nearly 3% on June 16th, hitting a 3-month low, amid optimism about the agreement that could reopen the Strait of Hormuz and lead to a sustained end to the war. Trump on June 16th said the Strait of Hormuz will be completely open by June 19th, and that the text of the U.S.-Iran memorandum will soon be released in a formal setting. Brent crude futures were down $2.48, or about 3%, and an $80.69 a barrel early on June at $80.69 a barrel early on June 16th. A day earlier, oil prices dropped almost 5% after Trump announced the framework agreement. In the United States, the average cost of a gallon of gas was $4.04 as of June 16th, according to AAA. Gas prices have fallen for the last 3 weeks as crude oil prices remain below $100 a barrel. Briefing planned, Congress considered. Trump said he planned to hold a news conference to release the text of the Memorandum of Understanding with Iran so he can explain what it means. I will not only release it, I will probably have a press conference and read it to you word by word so that the press covers it accurately, Trump told reporters in France. I will go over the document with the media in a couple days. The president also said he likes the idea of sending a finalized agreement with Iran to Congress for approval, setting the stage for a potential Senate vote on the deal once it's finished. I will send it to Congress. I like the idea. I mean, who wouldn't approve it? Trump said. I like the idea. Send it to Congress, please. Obama is skeptical of the New Deal. Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle have pressed for the Senate, which has a constitutional mandate to advise and consent on treaties the president signs, to have a say in an Iranian nuclear pact. The deal would have to clear a two-thirds majority in the Senate if it came for a vote, meaning its passage would hinge on Democratic support. A finished deal could face pushback from Democrats in the Senate, some of whom have argued publicly that Trump's agreement could do less to constrain Iran than the one the Obama administration inked and Trump voided during his first term. Former President Barack Obama, in a June 15th interview with ABC News, said it's doubtful that any agreement would be significantly different or a significant improvement from the deal that we had in the first place, noting the agreement worked for a long stretch of time before the United States withdrew. Trump pulled out of that deal, the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, in 2018, calling it a horrible and one-sided agreement that didn't bring calm or peace. Trump, let Syria handle Hezbollah. Trump said he isn't upset with Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who wasn't part of the U.S.-Iran peace talks, and said the agreement could survive possible future military conflict between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon. Trump said he suggested to Netanyahu to let Syria take care of Hezbollah, Iran's proxy in Lebanon. I suggested to Israel to let Syria take care of Hezbollah because, to be honest, I think they'd do a better job of doing it, he said. You've been listening to a reading of articles and features from the Wednesday, June 17th, 2026 issue of the Democrat and Chronicle. Your reader has been David Frothingham. Thank you for listening.